Breaking news, the Afghan who has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder after the horrifying triple stabbing in Hillingdon is believed to have arrived in the UK illegally on the back of a lorry in 2020. At what point are we going to say enough is enough? Now, of course, this specific individual has not been found guilty in a court of law. He's only just been arrested. But there's clearly a pattern, isn't there? There is clearly a higher propensity of certain groups, especially those who arrive illegally in this country, we don't know who they are, committing barbaric crimes. This comes in the same week that we have found out that Rhiannon Sky White was brutally murdered by the Sudanese migrant you are seeing on screen there. He has been found guilty over this past week of murdering this innocent hotel worker and mother of a 5-year-old who was working at the migrant hotel where he was staying. The taxpayer put a roof over his head. This lovely woman gave him a warm welcome and was simply just handing out snacks to the migrants on her shift before this happened. What did he do? He followed her home after her shift and stabbed her with a screwdriver 23 times, giving fatal blows to her head, and consequently she did not make it. May she rest in peace. This is also in the same week, of course, that we have been reminded of the crimes of Hadish Kabatu, who decided to sexually assault a 14-year-old girl and an older woman in Epping, just 8 days after arriving on a small boat to the UK. He was on the loose, walking our streets. Luckily, did not reoffend and was found after 45 hours on the run, but that was just a stark reminder of the kind of crimes that we are seeing happening on a regular basis. At some point we have to ask ourselves the question, are we importing the wrong people into this country? Do we need to have a policy of not allowing people from certain nations that have a higher propensity to commit certain crimes into this nation? At what point are we going to agree that it is a matter of urgency that we ensure the people of this country are safe, and the way to do that is to close the borders, to have migration policy under control? I'm just absolutely sick of it. Let's take a look at some of the details about this specific story, about this Afghan, in the Daily Mail. They have just revealed this this evening, that he came on a lorry in 2020 and was granted asylum and leave to remain in 2022. That is what the Daily Mail is understanding. Let's look at some more of the details of this horrifying incident that's happened, but before we do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already for more news updates. We had, this was at 5 p.m. on Monday. You had police and ambulance crews arriving to Midhurst Gardens. This is in northwest London. There is a lot of footage online. I will show you a short snippet just of a local at the scene after the event. The police have asked us not to share particularly sensitive footage, and also some people may not want to see that. There is horrifying footage on Twitter of people of the stabbing taking place. It makes my stomach absolutely churn watching it. I'm not going to play you that, but I will play you this short clip. So this is at the scene, horrified local there. You can see CPR happening there.
Babe, there's police everywhere. It's really bad, babe. Oh my god, the guy got stabbed 15 times, babe.
Poor woman's terrified.
Yes. Someone's been stabbed over here, someone's been stabbed here, babe. I can't take it.
woman's terrified, and that whole community will be terrified now. We've had various comments given to the press from locals. We'll look at one or two of those in a moment, but what a lot of them are saying is that this was quite a safe area, and now a lot of people in the area are absolutely terrified. There are a lot of kids in this area. There's several schools in this area. We've got Halloween coming up on Friday, where kids want to be able to go out and go trick-or-treating and actually feel safe doing so. I don't think those kids will be going out anymore, and some people are even considering, after what's just happened yesterday, packing up and moving away somewhere else. But now this man, who has been arrested, he's not been found guilty in a court of law, to be clear, but this man who is suspected of murder and attempted murder is understood to have been living with as a lodger. He'd already been granted asylum and given leave to remain. But what this story will do is it will make people nervous about the possibility of having migrant hotels and HMOs with other people who have come to this country illegally from nations like Afghanistan and other nations where crime is more common. It's going to make people nervous about that, and it's going to be very difficult soon for people to be able to find anywhere where they are safe from having that in the area, because what we're finding out now is that soon 90% of councils will have migrants being housed by the Home Office in their area. So it's hard to live somewhere where you can feel truly safe these days, and I feel so sorry for this community who have very sadly lost one of their members, this 49-year-old dog walker who apparently was very well known, but also the community, regardless of whether they knew this man, will all be absolutely terrified. So there was CCTV footage of the Afghan being tasered and arrested. There's also footage, as I said, out there of this stabbing actually taking place, of the dog walker. It's really, really horrific to watch. The dog walker was treated at the scene. There was the services quickly arrived. They put up a tent. They were trying to save the guy, but sadly he died at the scene. Just an innocent 45-year-old man. 49-year-old man. Now, there was a 45-year-old man who suffered life-changing injuries, and there was also a 14-year-old boy. Now, what we've heard, but is not confirmed by some neighbours, is that he was living with the 45-year-old as a lodger, and that some sort of argument broke out, and I think they sort of ran out onto the streets, and he had this knife, and then this 49-year-old dog walker, who was not part of the argument but tried to get involved to stop it, was then brutally stabbed to death. It's absolutely horrifying. Of course, this is not confirmed, this hasn't been to court, but if it is the case that this was the consequence of just some sort of argument, I mean, it just horrifies me that we have people potentially coming into this country who will resolve an argument with a knife. That's disgusting, absolutely vile. And this man, or whoever was the murderer, I hope that they will face harsh consequences for what has happened today, because I think a strong message needs to be sent that this shit does not fly in this country. Okay, we do not allow this in the United Kingdom. So let's take a look. That's what some of the residents have said. So according to residents, a fight had broken out involving the Afghan national we've just spoken about, who's living in the lodger as a lodger in the home of the 45-year-old. We don't know that person's name at this point. He chased two victims out of the house. Not sure if the 14-year-old is the 45-year-old's son or not, but then the 49-year-old is believed to have intervened. This is the dog walker, the one who sadly died at the scene. Footage posted online today appears to show the suspect walking along a residential street before two police officers sprint after him, one pointing a taser and shouting, "Drop the knife and get on the floor." Several others join them before the taser is fired and the man falls to the ground. It's not being treated as terrorism, as we've just pointed out. It is believed that there was some sort of argument between the lodger and the others in the house that may have led to this event, but of course this will all be investigated by the police, so we cannot speculate too much. And there are a lot of comments from witnesses in the area, but I'll just give you this one. The Afghan man was chasing a man and a boy around the road, and a local man who was with his dog tried to stop it. There was blood everywhere, and the paramedics were there for at least 30 minutes trying to save his life. It was absolute carnage and very distressing to see. I would have hated to see that. Just seeing the small bits of footage that are online, it honestly makes my stomach absolutely turn. And as I said at the beginning of this video, at what point are we going to say enough is enough? Let's just remind ourselves that this is in the same week that we have found out that a Sudanese migrant who was staying at a migrant hotel has been found guilty of brutally murdering Rhiannon Sky White, a mother of 5, by the way. That poor little child, her sister said she'd never heard a scream from a child like it when she had to explain to the child but that mummy is having to go to heaven because the doctors couldn't fix her brain. That is after this Sudanese migrant stabbed this young woman with a screwdriver in the head at a train station. He stabbed her with this screwdriver 23 times, mostly in the head. What kind of monsters are coming into this country? Of course, not everybody coming into this country illegally is a monster. There will be many who are kind, loving people. However, there are more and more cases, and it feels like there is another one every single day of some sort of horrifying sexual assault or murder from someone who's come to this country illegally. And those are just the big headline ones, right? What we hear from people who have migrant hotels in their communities, what we hear from Epping, for example, where there is the Bell Hotel, is that shoplifting is really common. Migrants going in what would be nice parks where women can safely go for a run are sitting around drinking, causing chaos in these areas and making it feel unsafe. What we're hearing is that whilst they're bored because they've got nothing to do all day because they don't have jobs, they sit on street corners and they look at girls inappropriately. That smaller stuff also doesn't get as much coverage, but is also very concerning. I've had enough of it. I've absolutely had enough of it, and I think after this news today and after the news of Rhiannon Sky White, I think the public are going to be absolutely sick to death of it. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video, and make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already.